So there was this one moment today where he was a little owly. Owl-ish, I guess is the way you say that. I didn't expect the little owl noise. It was really great.
So here's what it comes down to. Our country's on a very bad course. And the question is, what are we going to do about it? The question for me is, what am I going to do about it? And I've decided I'm a candidate for President of the United States of America.
This is not an embarrassing thing that Jeb Bush did. This is not like, Howard Dean with the scream in Iowa. This is not Jeb's brother doing that, you got to put food on your family thing. This was not bad. This is not something he's going to have to live down. I don't mean it that way. It was just unexpected. It was a very unexpected thing. We made a little loop of it today. I've been watching it all day. He's got a little touch of the owl. Woo! And I say that as an owl fan. Woo! Jeb Bush, former governor of Florida, brother of George W. Bush, son of George H.W. Bush, today officially became the 11th major Republican candidate to declare a run for the presidency in 2016. 11? There was one nice sort of candid moment in his speech where he referenced that fact, where he referenced the fact that there are a gazillion people running.
Campaigns aren't easy, and they're not supposed to be. And I know that there are a lot of good people running for president. Quite a few, in fact. And not one of us deserves the job by right of resume, party, seniority, family, or family narrative. It's nobody's turn. It's everybody's test. And it's wide open, exactly as a contest for president should be.
Woo! Amen. The wide open nature of this race for the nomination on the Republican side in particular is honestly very, very exciting this year. But the size of the field is creating all sorts of challenges for the individual candidates and for the party as a whole, trying to figure out how to deal with this big, unwieldy, giant group of people, none of whom has a particularly strong advantage over the others. There's a new Monmouth University national poll that came out today. The headline they put on their own poll is, "No top tier." The director of the poll says, quote, "You'd be hard-pressed to look at these results and identify an emerging top tier in the Republican field, let alone a so-called frontrunner." Honestly, though, even in this poll, there is a strong frontrunner. I mean, none of the candidates placed higher than 11% among Republican voters nationwide, and nobody's more than a point ahead of anybody else. But honestly, undecided kicks everybody's butt. Undecided is clearly winning the Republican race for president right now. 20% of respondents, way ahead of anybody else. And undecided is getting stronger and stronger over time. 2 months ago in this same poll, undecided only got 14%. Now undecided gets 20%. I think undecided is going to win. In the meantime, the Republican Party has to decide who they're going to allow to compete for the nomination by, for example, competing in the nationally televised debates. John McCain is the latest voice in the Republican Party to say that the Fox News Channel is going to have to drop their plan to only allow the top 10 candidates in national polling into the first debate. He tells Time magazine now, quote, "I think if you had these rules in 2007, I might never have been the nominee of the party in 2008. I think it basically shuts out people who aren't well known. It also diminishes the importance of a state like New Hampshire, where people can come out of nowhere through their performance in the state and be successful." It is hard to believe that the Fox News Channel and the Republican Party are going to be able to continue with this plan to only allow the top 10 candidates to effectively compete for the nomination, especially when really there is no clear frontrunner other than undecided. And there's no top tier of serious candidates who have a materially better chance at the nomination than everybody else does. But Jeb Bush today became the 11th Republican to formally join the race. And in a bipartisan way, it is remarkable now that just over the last 72 hours, we have had the official rollout of 2 of the 3 major candidates who are running for president this year who represent big family political dynasties. I mean, there is Rand Paul as well, who inherits basically intact the whole infrastructure and machinery of his dad's multiple protest campaigns for president. There's Jeb Bush, who formally rolled out his campaign today. If he were successful and actually won the general election and became president, that would make the Bush family of Kennebunkport the only family in American history to have ever supplied the country with 3 presidents. But it was an interesting choice today for Jeb Bush that neither his brother, the former president, nor his father, the former president, were actually there on hand in Miami for Jeb's announcement. He didn't mention either of them by name. He didn't talk about either of their presidencies, except obliquely. The only reference he made to them in his announcement today was when he described himself as a guy who met his first president on the day he was born and his second president on the day he was brought home from the hospital. But that was it. That little joke, that was it. No further discussion of his brother's time as president or his dad's time as president. And I mean, maybe it's easy to make too much of that, but at the same time, he also rolled out what's going to be his official campaign logo. It's actually his old logo from a time that he ran for governor in Florida in 1994. That was a campaign he lost. So you might think that the logo might have sort of bad juju or something, but he is using that logo again for his campaign this time around. One obvious advantage of this gently used recycled campaign logo is that it does not include his last name. If you want to find the Jeb Bush for President campaign online, also, please, no last name. It's just Jeb2016.com. Jeb who? Jeb wink wink. Let's not talk about it. Jeb2016.com. Don't say Bush. If you forget and you do actually type in JebBushForPresident.com, JebBushForPresident.com, you will soon find that that is the website that is owned by this adorable gay bear couple. Remember these guys, CJ and Charlie? We had them on the show a few months ago when we realized that they were the owners of JebBushForPresident.com. They have held on to JebBushForPresident.com all this time. It's a great website. It's lovely. It's all about their family and their dogs and how much they love, driving around in their RV and how much they love each other. And they want their website, JebBushForPresident.com, to be an open forum for discussing the issue of gay rights. So JebBushForPresident.com is the adorable gay bear couple. If you want the actual Jeb Bush for President campaign, you have to drop the Bush when you're looking for the website. Do not type his last name. The word Bush is not part of his campaign for president. It's just a first name. It's like, Cher, or it's like The Rock, or Bjork, or Coolio. I started making other notes. Skrillex, Fabio, Twiggy, Seal, Liberace, Charo, Jeb, right? It's just one name. And it's interesting. Hillary Clinton could have chosen to do that, too. I mean, the name of that super PAC was Ready for Hillary, right? They didn't have to say Hillary who. Her campaign logo is just an H with the arrow thing. She, too, could have been campaigning for president as if she dropped from the sky or maybe hatched one day under a shady elm, right? I mean, independent of any surname, independent of any political history that would be implied by that surname. She totally could be running just as Hillary, but she is running in completely the opposite direction. In really stark, striking contrast with Jeb Bush, she is not running away from the previous presidency of someone with her last name, nor is she running away from the president who she just served as Secretary of State.
President Roosevelt's 4 freedoms are a testament to our nation's unmatched aspirations and a reminder of our unfinished work at home and abroad. His legacy lifted up a nation and inspired presidents who followed. One is the man I served as Secretary of State, Barack Obama. And another is my husband, Bill Clinton. Two Democrats, guided by, that will make him so happy. They were and are 2 Democrats, guided by the fundamental American belief that real and lasting prosperity must be built by all and shared by all.
Hillary Clinton at her big campaign launch rally on Saturday in New York City, right up at the top of her speech, referencing not only President Obama, but her husband's presidency as well. At the end of her speech, President Clinton joined Mrs. Clinton on stage. There was no, hiding his light under a bushel, right? And that was not just something she put on for the campaign launch. She has been consistent and really aggressive on this in every appearance she has made since the launch on Saturday morning. And hold on, because this is where it gets really good. We'll be right back.